Going on, Jerome's beautiful Saturday morning. Birds are chirping and stuff, and I just want to go on a little bit of a rant, per usual, about the Vikings quarterback situation. Now, the pride of BYU, Jaren Hall, the Mormon missile is set to launch on Sunday night against the greasy, grimy Green Bay Packers, and the best case scenario for the Vikings. Well, I mean, obviously, if Jaren Hall ends up being Tom friggin' Brady, that would be the best case scenario for the Vikings as well as cap wise. If Jaren Hall, these last two regular season games and playoffs, proves that he's the guy, that would be fantastic because the Vikings would have their quarterback for the next decade plus, even though Jaren Hall's already 25. But you love his deep ball, you love his accuracy, you love his maturity, and the fact that he's been the offense the entire off season and regular season is important. And hopefully he won't be like Nick Mullins turning the ball over 17 times, or Josh Dobbs who came in at the trade deadline and didn't know his teammates' names. Although he played better when you don't know the offense. But yes, that is the best case scenario for the Vikings. And is it a non-zero chance? Yes. Are you necessarily holding your breath? Probably not. Now, I know that a lot of people like to go on tangents of like, well, the hit rate for quarterbacks outside of the first round and outside the top 10 is very low. I mean, yes, that is true historically and statistically, but also you're never, I mean, we could live 10 lifetimes and we're never going to see the long run or see these numbers bear out because all you need is one is all you need. Because you're telling me like, hey, you don't think that Washington or Minnesota was happy with Kirk Cousins in the fourth round, or Dak Prescott and the Cowboys in the fourth round, or, of course, Tom friggin' Brady in the sixth round pick, 199 overall, or the Niners with Brock Purdy with the seventh round? You think any of them are just like, it didn't work out? Or, of course, Lamar taking 32 overall. That's not top 10. You think Ravens are like, you know what? It didn't work out because he wasn't a top 10 pick. Now, again, all you need is one. And yes, Jaren Hall being that guy would go a long way to helping the Vikings out financially. But I do think that the most likely scenario is that Jaren Hall, next couple games against the Joe Barry defense, as well as the Aaron Glenn defense against the Lions, who can get got. I think he'll put up some numbers. I think that he'll make some highlight plays. And I think if he takes care of the football, the Vikings can reel off 2 straight wins, keep their playoff hopes alive. And then I mean, this season has been so weird and so wonky. Like who saw the Joe Flacco and the Browns plot twist? But could Jaren Hall actually lead this team to a playoff win or two and make a little bit of noise? That would be awesome. It would be absolutely be friggin' awesome. And hell, maybe go the whole way. We always gotta say that, man. But yes, if Jaren Hall can prove that he could be the starter going forward, that would be great. Or I think the most likely scenario is I think that Kirk Cousins is back next year. I think there's like a 90% chance that Kirk and the Vikings work something out. Rob Brzezinski, capologist wizard, it was a big deal that the Vikings unloaded a bunch of veteran contracts last year, whether it be Thielen, Kendricks, Cook, etc. Because now it frees up some cap space. And even though the Vikings, do have $28.5 million void years dead cap coming up with Kirk at some point, I think that the Vikings can weather the storm. If they want to re-sign Kirk, obviously re-sign JJ. And also, I do think that JJ and Kirk are a package deal. As much as people don't want to admit that, it's like, well, Justin Jefferson obviously hates Kirk Cousins. He doesn't. He doesn't. I think that JJ is waiting to sign his mega deal. Again, it's not about the money. The money is there. And I think it is more about who's going to be the quarterback. And ideally, JJ will want Kirk. Or if Jaren Hall can prove that he would be the guy, be like, okay. So I think that Kirk is going to be back next year. I think that he is going to be re-signed. I think that Jaren Hall, I mean, obviously he's going to be here for the next 3 years because he's on his rookie deal. I think that he's going to continue to be developed, and I think the Vikings will take a swing at a quarterback in day one, day two. And before you say, well, if Jaren Hall proves that he can be something for the future, why spend another draft pick on quarterback? Because this year has definitely shown decision makers that you need multiple quarterbacks because injuries happen. Happens, and you got to be ready for it, man, because your entire season can be derailed if you don't have a competent backup quarterback, or maybe even a QB3, or maybe even a QB4. So I think the Vikings, especially this class being one of the deepest quarterbacks classes in NFL history, I think wherever they draft in the first round or day two, I think it's going to be imperative that they do assess the board, and if the guy is there or if they can move up and They deem that a quarterback is the guy, whether it's Drake May or Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels, although those three are probably going to be out of the range for the Vikings, or more realistically, a guy like Michael Penix from Washington, or Bo Nix from Oregon, or J.J. McCarthy, Dynamite from Michigan. I think the Vikings, it would behoove them to grab another guy because that's the whole thing. It's the most important position in all of team sports. People pissing and moaning. I was like, oh, you got too many quarterbacks. You can never have too many quarterbacks. And the whole misnomer of, well, if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. BS. Absolute BS, man. Because you look at how the Patriots always try to replace Tom Brady. That's what the Vikings need to do. And if you watch the channel for any length of time, we're always team draft a quarterback. Like, draft a quarterback every single year, even if you have the guy, or at minimum draft a quarterback every other year. Vikings didn't really do that under Spielman, and they have estate planning problems now with Kirk Cousins. But again, Kirk coming back off that Achilles, I think that it could destroy his free agent market a little bit. I think he could be back at a reasonable rate. And I would prefer to have him back because he played at MVP level. But again, if Jaren Hall comes in and tears the doors off the roof, that would be delightful. But I think more likely Jaren Hall shows some flashes these last couple of games and playoffs, and the Vikings run it back with Kirk. Jaren Hall is in the mix as a long-term developmental quarterback, as well as I think they should dip their toes into the rookie quarterback pool as well. So then you would have Kirko, you'd have Jaren Hall, you'd have rookie TBD, and then frankly, I know people don't want to hear it, I would bring back Mullins or Dobbs and have them compete to be the quarterback 3, quarterback 4, maybe be on the practice squad, or a bridge quarterback like Jabroni Brisket or whatever at this point. But again, this season has stressed the importance of the quarterback position, and the Vikings, they got to load up. They got to rack up and stack up. But again, this solves everything. Hey, if Jaren Hall somehow, some way proves that he is that dude, and Kevin O'Connell Quakes, you remember, he's the only quarterback that they have drafted together. And if they feel confident rolling with him, they can just eat Kirk's $28.5 million dead cap hit, void year cap hit in 2024. You have a starting quarterback on his rookie deal. You could probably still pick up a bridge quarterback like Brissett, or bring Dobbs back with a full off season, or Mullins, and you should probably still draft a quarterback. Go that route. But there's not a lot of season left, but there's still a lot of things up in the air at the quarterback position, and we'll get a little bit of clarity as the Mormon missile launches. Sorry, the pride of BYU, the dude who made Puka Nacua. Let's go, man. Anyways, that's it. Raw real rant, quarterback position. You know what to do. Skull, no production.